Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa ashabi ajma'in amma ba'd. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Inshallah, alhamdulillah, we as Dawah group members find that we want to welcome you to our first ever seminar, which is going to happen bi'idhnillahi ta'ala today, inshallah. We're going to start, alhamdulillah, as we mentioned earlier, the fact that we are going to start at 9 o'clock a.m., which is the Kenyan time, or even the Saudi Arabian time, which you find that there's a little bit of difference. Some of the places it says that it is 1 hour ahead, and other places you find that it is the same as the Kenyan time. So you find that here, alhamdulillah, we are live, and we want, alhamdulillah, to start this our very special event in a way that is best. So before we start, we have to mention that inshallah, I am going to start tonight a lecture, inshallah, with a talk that is called the Quraan, the unique book and its main theme. And I think so you can see that in the screen we have that part, and this is now the uniqueness that is in the seminar. The seminars, they are not just like that. The uniqueness in the seminar is the fact that you have PowerPoints, and alhamdulillah, you will get also this PowerPoint, inshallah, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. So don't worry about that. We will put the link where you can get this PowerPoint. So you can see that the PowerPoint here, alhamdulillah, we're going to use here, inshallah. It doesn't have many slides, but inshallah we're going to use this PowerPoint in our utmost way. Okay, so you find that it is you can see in this PowerPoint, that is the first screen you can see here. It is written, it is part 8, and it has written that we are talking about the Quran. Now, why have we written the fact that it is part 8 and not part 7 or not part 6? We find that part 7, we had talked about it previously on that topic which was called Who Wrote the Quran? And bin Ta'ala also we mentioned, and we talked about who wrote the Quran with very several videos. Alhamdulillah, it was very nice for us to understand many things about this topic. Now inshallah, you find that also part 6 we talked about the other topics, and alhamdulillah, I don't want to go into that because in today's seminars we have to talk about a little bit of many topics bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. And I'll start part 8, and I have to mention that this topic is very much important. It's talking about the unique book, which is the Quran. The Quran is the unique book of Allah Azza wa Jal, and we are also going to talk about its main theme, the main theme of the Quran. So inshallah, this is a very important thing. You find that if we don't know the Quran, then there's trouble. And I've written here, you can see that who is presenting is me, that is alhamdulillah your brother Abdullah Aftab, and find that it's a special seminar which we are doing it, alhamdulillah, Saturday 26 August 2017, because this seminar is not only to be done on another day, but today, alhamdulillah, shukrillah. So you find that the organization is Dawah Group, and this is our organization. You find that where you find that we teach people, alhamdulillah, about the deen of Islam. So I want to start as soon as possible, and I will start by talking about the meaning of the word Quran. The meaning of the word Quran, and we have to know that this word Quran, we also defined this even previously in our few lessons, but inshallah I'll go through it again. We have to know that the word Quran, it is a verbal noun. What meaning of verbal noun? You find that this is something of verb. A verb is something you are doing. So you find that this is a verbal noun, and it is equivalent in meaning to qira', as both they came from the verb qara'a, which means now to read. And what we mean here is that the Quran, being the verbal noun, it means that you're doing something, but in itself also it's a noun, and showing us that you are doing here something, and that's why you find that it is meaning you're doing some work, you're doing some action here, and the action here you're doing, it is to read or to recite, or to repeat. That is now the word we are talking about here, the Quran. And together with the fact that it's a verbal noun, you have to know also that the Quran, it literally it means reading or reciting. It literally means reading or reciting. And you find that when we talk about the when you go to the dictionaries, you'll find that you'll get this literary meaning. And when you go to that Arabic to English dictionary, you find that when you go to page, I think so, number 2502, you find that it says to you that the Quran, it means reading or reciting. That is what they have defined the Quran as. And alhamdulillah, you find that many of us, we have been knowing that the Quran, it is a book that Allah has sent down to Prophet Muhammad Assalam for the purpose of guidance. But now here we are talking about the literal meaning, the literal meaning. But now we'll go ahead and have to mention that the fact that this Quran, it has been, this term, which is the Quran, it has been historically and specifically now, it has been referred to a book which was revealed to Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. That is now how you find that the people who were behind us, who were previous, that means, and what they define the Quran, they say that this Quran, it is referring to a book. It is referring to a book which was revealed to Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And you find that also this term Quran, it is mentioned in a number of places throughout the Quran. And we are going to see where this word Quran is mentioned in the Quran itself. I think also we mentioned about this thing in our few lessons back. So first of the places where this one Quran has mentioned, we go to Surah Al-Isra, which is chapter number 17, and we go to verse number 9 bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. And I think so also you can see that verse mentioned in this our slide. So which is that verse we are talking about? It says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن هذا القرآن يهدي للتي هي أقوم. So إن هذا القرآن يهدي للتي هي أقوم. We find that verily this Quran, it guides humanity to that which is most just. Let's see, that is the first verse. And we said the name of the Quran here, it is used to refer to both the Quran and it is used to refer to both the Quran as a whole, and also it is used to refer to a group of verses, as in the following verse, which is another verse that we are going to talk on about. So this is in Surah Al-Araf, chapter number 7, and the verse is number 204. So what does it say? Bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. It says that أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وإذا قرئ القرآن فاستمعوا له وأنصتوا لعلكم ترحمون. So it says that and if the Quran it is recited, you should listen to it and be silent, that you may receive mercy. So you find that this word Quran, which has been mentioned in these two verses here we have mentioned, we have seen that in the first verse, which was in Surah Al-Isra, it says that that this Quran, which is now the book, now it is referring to the book as a whole. And in another this same verse I'm talking about, it also refers to as a group of verses. The Quran is a group of verses. Also, in this verse that we mentioned about the Araf, Surah Araf, it says that, and if the Quran is recited, you should listen to it. That means when the Quran, that is the verse of the Quran, are recited, you should be listening. You should listen to it in a way that is best. So you should be not putting any sounds in between when you are reciting this word of Allah Azza Jal. So let us now go to the next slide bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. And the next slide, it says that the other names of the Quran. The other names of the Quran. And what do we mean when we say that we have other names of the Quran? Here, I think so we mentioned even previously, but inshallah I will go on talking about it. We have to know that this Quran, it has been referred by other names. Like example, we have, this Quran, it has been referred to as the Furqan. The Furqan now, it is the criterion. It also means the distinction. And what we mean, the Furqan, it has been mentioned in Surah Al-Furqan in itself. If you go to Surah Al-Furqan, chapter number 25, and you go to verse number 1. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم تبارك الذي نزل الفرقان على عبده ليكون للعالمين نظيرا. In this verse, you find that what we have been taught here is that there is a word Furqan mentioned here, and it says here that blessed is He, Allah who has revealed the Furqan to His slave in order that he may be a warner to all the worlds. So you can see that Allah mentioning the fact that this Quran, it is Al-Furqan, meaning that it is something which is distinctive from other books. It is distinctive from other books. And together with the fact that it is distinctive, it is also a criterion to know what is good and what is bad. The fact that the Quran, it is Al-Furqan, it's very much important that when you know that this Quran, it is Al-Furqan, it teaches you that the Al-Furqan, what's the meaning of it, and with knowing its meaning, you know that the Quran, it is able to guide you, as Al-Quran, it will guide you what is right and what is wrong. So inshallah we go to the next thing. You can see that in the PowerPoint here, it has been mentioned here that the other names of Quran we have, it is dhikr. Dhikr, it means what? What's the meaning of dhikr? And here even you can see that it says that it is reminder. It is a reminder. And a dhikr, you find that it is mentioned in Surah Al-Hijr, chapter number 15, and the verse is number 9. Verse is number 9. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إنا نحن نزلنا ذكرا وإنا له لحافظون. So this verse, you find that it teaches us that the Quran, it is dhikr, and it says that verily I reveal the dhikr, and verily I will preserve it. This is what Allah is saying, that I here, it's showing that Allah is saying here, and Allah is saying that He is the one who revealed the dhikr, which is the Quran, and He is the one He is the one who will preserve it. And you find the Quran, it could be defined as Allah words which they were revealed in Arabic, and it is in a rhythmical form to the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. This is very much important to know that the Quran, when it has been revealed in Arabic, it has its purpose, because when it is revealed in Arabic, the Arabic words, they are very much short, but they are very much inspirational. Okay, they are very much inspirational. And together that also you find that there are other also names of the Quran, and I mentioned this in our video. Alhamdulillah, you can see that in that PowerPoint here, we have mentioned here that there's a link here. You can see that if you go to our previous YouTube link here, if you go to that and click to that, and inshallah you can see our video which we did in our lesson here, alhamdulillah, and it's a very nice lesson in which I mention many of the names of the Quran bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. I want to go ahead and I have to mention that when you see Quran, Allah Azza, the way He has defined it, He has defined it in the way, the fact that it has been revealed in Arabic, and it has been revealed in a rhythmical form to the Prophet ﷺ, and also its recitation, it is used in acts of worship. We find that the Quran, the recitation of it, it is used in the act of worship, and also we find that the Prophet ﷺ, he divinely and also we find that there are chapters or there are surahs in this Quran, and this smallest chapter or surah, it is of a miraculous nature. It is of a miraculous nature. Together with that, also we find that the Prophet ﷺ divinely inspired statements which are recorded by his followers. They are generally referred to as hadith. For example, the Prophet ﷺ companion Sahabi Umar bin al-Khattab, he reports that he once said that verily the deeds that are judged by action, and you can go and see that in Sahih al-Bukhari in the volume 1, page 1, hadith which is number 1, and also you can see in hadith in Sahih Muslim, and this is in volume 3, page number 1056, and the hadith is number 4692. So this is the hadith. Really, it teaches us that that Umar is saying that innamal a'malu binniyat, that every action of ours, or every deed of ours, they are judged by their intention. And I find this very much important also in this seminar. In this seminar, we are also saying that here we have to mention here the fact that the seminar, we are doing it for the sake of Allah. We are not doing it for showing off or we are doing it for the sake of Allah, so that alhamdulillah we can teach people about the deen of Islam, in which Allah He has taught us to teach the deen of Islam in the way that is best and the way that is taught by the Prophet. And finally, we have to go ahead and we have to mention the fact that however, in some of his statements, the Prophet he attributed what he said to Allah. For example, another Sahabi, Abu Huraira, he reported that the Prophet he said that Allah, the Most High, he says that I am as my slave, he thinks of me, and I am with him when he remembers me. So if he remembers me to himself, I will remember him to myself, and if he remembers me in a group, I will remember him in a group, in a better group, And this is a hadith which is mentioned. It is mentioned in Sahih al-Bukhari, volume 9, and it is hadith number 502. And also it is mentioned hadith of Sahih Muslim in volume 4, page number or hadith number 6471. This hadith is teaching us something, and it's saying that Allah Most High, He says, you can see, Yaqulullahu Ta'ala, Allah Most High says. Now I find that this wording, it really shows us the fact that this hadith, it is unique from the other hadith, because if we go back, alhamdulillah, if we go back to our previous hadith, here the hadith, it says that verily the deeds that judged by intention. And here is Umar bin al-Khattab, he said that the Prophet is the one who said. Here it is the Prophet who has said that verily the deeds they are judged by their intentions. Okay. Now, we have defined Quran. Okay, we have defined Quran. Now, together with Quran, something very important in our deen of Islam, it is the hadith. And here I'm going to mention here, inshallah, two types of hadith here, bidna ta'ala, inshallah. And the first we have to mention here is that the first hadith, it is hadith An-Nabawi. Hadith An-Nabawi. This one which Umar bin al-Khattab mentioned, that the Prophet ﷺ said that verily these are judged by their intentions. But this second hadith, where you find that the Prophet ﷺ attributed what he said to Allah For example, it's considered that what Allah is saying to him, Allah. So the Prophet is saying that Allah the Most High says, Yaqulullahu Ta'ala ana abdan. So you find that I am as my slave. He thinks of me. This type of hadith, it is called hadith al-Qudsi. This type of hadith is called hadith al-Qudsi. Hadith Qudsi, it's a sacred hadith, and it is where I'm going to define it in our best way possible. We have to know that the Qur'an, however, it is not the same as the hadith Qudsi. The Qur'an, it is not the same as the hadith Qudsi. So here now it comes, what's the difference between hadith Qudsi and Qur'an. So here, alhamdulillah, you can see that in our PowerPoint here, we are mentioning here that what about hadith, and I think so we have mentioned that there are two of hadith. Alhamdulillah, you need to know hadith of Qudsi and hadith Nabawi, and I've given an example of hadith Nabawi, which alhamdulillah you can see bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. You should not have any problem into that. You just need to understand that there's a hadith which is attributed to Allah, where the Prophet is saying that this Allah is the one outside, and this is now hadith Qudsi. But the other one, the Prophet is saying that no, like that, without any intervention here. So that means that it is hadith Nabawi. Okay, so we have to mention some of the difference between hadith Qudsi and hadith Nabawi, hadith Qudsi and the Quran. And that's why you find that we have to know that the Quran, however, it is not the same as the hadith Qudsi for a number of reasons. And the first reason is that the Quran, it is from Allah's Jal, both in its wording and its meaning, while in the case of hadith Qudsi, its meaning is from Allah's Jal, but its wording, it was the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So consider that this is very much important difference. Now this Quran, we have to know that it is from Allah's Jal directly. The Quran is from Allah's Jal directly, both in its wording and not in meaning. Both even in the wording and in the meaning, it is from the Allah Jal. But you find that when it comes to hadith Qudsi, its meaning now, it is from Allah Jal. Allah Jal now is the one saying, but its wording, it comes from the mouth of the Prophet Sallallahu. Very much important thing. Its wording comes from it was the Prophet Sallallahu. Its wording was the Prophet Sallallahu. Another difference we have to mention, number two, alhamdulillah, if anybody, alhamdulillah, we have to know that this seminar, we are not doing just like that. And we want people, alhamdulillah, who are working to learn the deen of Islam. So we want people, alhamdulillah, who are writing notes. This is something very much important. So I have mentioned one difference. Alhamdulillah, I want to go to the second difference between the Quran and hadith Qudsi. And I want you, my brothers and sisters, if you are writing, please, I would want, like, everybody who is online currently, please write something. Please write something in your notebook. If you don't have a notebook, you can take out maybe your iPad or your phone and then write it somewhere. It's very much important to know that what you're doing here, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, you're learning the deen of Islam. And you might be asked by someone who maybe he is a person who just he's saying that the Quran is the one that should be followed and hadith should not be followed. So you find that this is very much important thing, and I have to mention here is that when you teach them the fact that there is hadith Nabawi, hadith Qudsi and Quran, and mention the difference between the Quran and hadith Qudsi, it will really make them to understand that hadith Qudsi, hadith should be followed, and also the Quran, it should be followed, and they're all from one source. It's Allah Azza. So we have to mention, but here we have to mention the difference between the Quran and hadith Qudsi. So first one, we have mentioned the difference, and alhamdulillah, if you have started to write, please write it. We have mentioned that the Quran, it is from Allah Azza, both in its wording and in its meaning, while in the case of hadith Qudsi, you find that its meaning is from Allah Azza, and its wording, it is from the Prophet Sallallahu. The second difference is that Allah Azza, He challenged the Arabs and mankind in general to produce even a chapter equivalent to one of the Quran chapters, and their inability to do so, it proves its miraculous nature. So you find that this is not in the case of hadith Qudsi. So this is another difference. you find that alhamdulillah, we talked about the challenge which was mentioned in the Quran, and here Allah He challenged the Arabs, that the Quran, that the mankind, if they can produce even a chapter equivalent to one of the chapters of the Quran, and you find that they are not able to do so, and this is showing that the Quran, it is very much miraculous. But you find that there is nowhere in the Hadith Qudsi you find Allah challenges anyone to to create one Hadith Qudsi, because the fact that they are not the same here, so there's a difference between Hadith Qudsi and Quran in that way, okay, and that is another difference. So alhamdulillah, I think so you're writing. Please, my brothers and sisters, I want you to write these things so that you will able to learn the deen of Islam in the way that is best. So the third difference I want to mention here is that the recitation of the Quran, which is used in Salah and is itself considered a form of worship, as the Prophet ﷺ said that whoever he reads a letter from the book of Allah the Most High, he will get a good deed recorded for him, and each good deed is worth 10 times its value. And I'm not only saying that Alif Lam Mim is a letter, but I am saying that Alif is a letter, Lam is a letter, and Mim is a letter. And this is a hadith which is reported by Ibn Masud and collected by At-Tirmidhi and Ahmad ibn Hanbal rahimahullah ta'ala. So you find that however, the recitation of Hadith Qudsi, it carries none of these properties, and this alhamdulillah you can see in the principles of Islamic jurisprudence in page 15, and also Qawaidat at-Tahdith min Funun Mustalih al-Hadith, page 56. So this again shows that that when you recite this Hadith Qudsi, it doesn't have a reward like the way the Quran it has. So this shows that there's a difference between the Quran and Hadith Qudsi. The Quran, you find that it is a form of worship when you just recite it, and that's why I mentioned here the Hadith that the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that Alif Lam, when you recite only one letter from the book of Allah, you get the good deed, and each good deed here, it is 10 times its value. And here Alif Lam Mim is not a letter, but Alif is the letter, Lam is the letter, Mim is the letter. That means you get 30 good deeds with just reciting Alif Lam Mim. So this shows us that recitation only of the Quran, you get a lot of good deeds, but have to know that when it comes to the recitation of Hadith Qudsi, you don't get doesn't have the property of the fact that if you recite it, you get a good deed like the way the Quran we get. Okay, so this shows that we have there's a difference between the Quran and Hadith Qudsi. So alhamdulillah, we find that we have been able to finish the difference between them. So there are only 3 differences, and we need to understand them, alhamdulillah, and that is the way. So our last topic, alhamdulillah, I can see that we are in slide number 6, and here we are going to talk about the main theme of the Quran. The main theme of the Quran. Alhamdulillah, this is a little bit very much not very much big. Alhamdulillah, I'll do it in a little bit faster way, because we find that we have a long day today, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. So in this hadith, the fact that what are the main theme of the Quran, Quran itself, we find that it was revealed to Allah Azza wa Jal, and being revealed, it was revealed by Allah Azza to the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and through the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam we find that we learned a lot from the Quran. But together with that, you find that many people, they maybe have read the whole Quran, and you find that they may not have understood some of the few things, and then they come now to the Sheikh and they ask him, Sheikh, I've read the Quran from the start to till the end, and you find that I've not been able to understand many of the things, many of the concepts. I've found difficulty in understanding them. So finally the Sheikh will say to him now that, the Quran, it has some parts revealed in a way and for some reasons. Maybe you find that there's a verse of the Quran, it has been revealed for the purpose of the people at that time, the Sahabas, to gain lessons, to get the benefit at that time. So you as a person, you cannot gain the benefit of the Quran just by reading the translation, and you find that you cannot understand like that. But the best way you can understand this, the Quran, is by taking maybe one verse and I can see that where this verse was revealed, what is the tafsir of this verse, and others. That's the way we go ahead. Now here I want to mention the main theme. What is the main theme of the Quran? So not only that is the Quran unique among the books today in its origin and purity, but it's also unique in the way it presents its subject matter. And this is a very important point, that the uniqueness of the Quran, and that's why you can see the topic that we started. Alhamdulillah, you can go even in our PowerPoint. Alhamdulillah, what's the topic now? My sister, what's the topic? The topic is called the Quran, the unique book, and its main theme. The Quran, the unique book. So you can see that the uniqueness of it is very much important. The uniqueness of it is very much important, and it shows that the Quran is unique. That's the first thing. That's the first thing you have to know. The Quran is unique from the other books. All other books, may you find that the way they present their subject matter, maybe if you want to know the main theme of their book, the novel, you go back to the book and you just read, what has been written back, and maybe it will say to you, this is a story of a man, and then it will tell you now what the subject matter is. But the Quran, it is different from other books, not only from the fact that where it came, came from Allah Azza Jal, and its purity, the fact that there's no any someone who has tried to change the Quran. No, there have never been such cases. So you find that it is pure. It is pure. Not only that, but also in the way it reveals or it presents its subject matter. It is different, and it is not a book in the usual sense of the word, wherein there is an introduction or explanation of the subject followed by a conclusion, and neither is it restricted to only a presentation of historical events or the problems of philosophy or the facts of science or social laws, and though all may be found woven together in it without any apparent connection or links. And this is very much important here. We are mentioning is that you have to know that this is not a normal book. A normal book, if you go to any book or novel, you find that it will start the introduction, then it will give you the explanation of that subject, and then it will give you a conclusion. That's why you find that when you are writing a composition, maybe your daughter comes to you and says, Baba, I want to you to help me to write a composition. And you tell her that your daughter, okay, find that you have to write an introduction. First, you'll tell her, write an introduction, a very interesting introduction, maybe introduction to maybe if you are writing about a situation in which you had difficulty. So you write maybe introduction to that thing, maybe you're at home and whatever. Then write the body. The body, you're gonna try to explain what's the introduction, what happened ahead, and then you write a conclusion at last, what that problem was, and you find that what the conclusion came, did you save from it. So that is the way the composition works, or the novel, or the other books. And also, when it comes to the textbooks, these textbooks that the students they study, you find that also it's like that. You find that they give you maybe the introduction to this, maybe you're learning about how to how to learn photography. When it comes to how to learn photography, or let's put photography, I'll put the fact that how to learn maybe. Okay, let us come now to the fact that about the fiqh. When it comes to the Umdatul Ahkam or Bulugh al-Maram, you find the way they have organized it very much fantastic. They'll start with the hadith, in which maybe if it is Salah, they'll give you to the book of Salah, the chapter of Salah. It will come to the fact that we are going to start the introduction, but not introduction. Introduction is about the fact that we'll start with Adhan. And before even the book of Salah, it comes the book of purification. What's the book of purification now? Talking about now the utensils, the wudu, tayammum, and all of stuff like that. So all of these books, you find that they have been written by human beings. Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, he wrote the book Bulugh al-Maram, and he wrote like that, the way it should be. And they wrote it with a purpose. They knew that we wanted to start with the introduction, the condition of wudu, the condition of tayammum, like that. Then you come to pillars. The pillars, now we go like that. They come to niyyah, everything, they do like that. They wrote it. But when you come to Qur'an, Qur'an different. Qur'an is different, no. Come on, maybe don't understand. So what they're saying here is that this Qur'an, it is not the same way like the novels, and neither we are not restricting the fact that this Qur'an is only a presentation of just historical events. Like now you find that there are books of history which will give you now the history of events, like the history of Tabri, rahimahullah ta'ala. You find that this book has the history of events from starting until going in the start of before even the dunya came, before even everything. So he wrote it like that, and that's how the historical events. So you find the also books of history. You find that the way they write in the books of history, they start with the previous. Maybe if you are starting from maybe 19th century, some people they start from 18th century. They go 18, 19 like that. But the Quran is not like that. You're not coming to just see that there's historical events in the Quran. Together with that also, there is not only the fact that the Quran, it doesn't only have the problems of philosophy or the facts of science or social laws, but all of it may be found the historical events are in the Quran, the problem of philosophy may be in the Quran, the facts of science or social laws is in the Quran. All of them they're found there. They are found together, and it is in a structure without any apparent connection and links. There is no any links between them, and that's why you find that people, they might find it difficult to understand it. So subjects now here, they are introduced without background information. There are no even the historical events, they are not presented in chronological order. And even you find the new topics, sometimes they crop up in the middle of the another for no apparent reason, and you find that here the speaker and thus spoken to change direction without the slightest forewarning. So this reader who maybe is reading the Quran, who is unaware of the Quran's uniqueness, he is often puzzled when he finds it contrary to his understanding of a book in general and a religious book in particular. So they find that maybe there's a non-Muslim who now she wants to read the Quran, and you find that he has read other religious books, and he has found that there are other religious books, they are sometimes easy to understand, but when it comes to the Quran, he finds she finds that there's no any links, and they found that there's difficulty for him to understand. So we are here, alhamdulillah, to teach them the fact that the Quran is unique. Yeah. The Quran is unique, and we have to understand the Quran. It may seem disorganized and haphazard to him. However, to to those people who they understand its subject matter, and they understand its aim, and they understand its central theme, you find that the Qur'an is exactly the opposite. Are we together, my brothers and sisters? What you're saying is that, a non-Muslim who he doesn't know what is the subject matter of the Qur'an. He doesn't know the theme, of the Qur'an. He doesn't know what is the central theme of the Qur'an. He may find it difficult, and he may seem that this Qur'an it is disorganized. But you find that for them, for those Muslims, alhamdulillah, they know the theme of the Qur'an, and they understand that, the subject matter, they understand what the aim for the Qur'an being revealed. They will find that the Qur'an it is exactly the opposite. They'll find that the Qur'an is organized. And we have to know that the subject matter of the Qur'an is essentially man. That is the central theme of the Qur'an. So my brother and sister, you have to write this thing in your notebook right currently, that the central theme, the subject matter of the Qur'an is essentially man. Now man, why are we saying man? Man is a human being, mankind. What is man in relation to his Lord and Creator? That's another subject matter. The man in relation to his Lord and Creator. Allah, what is the relation, what is the rights of Allah Jal? What is the rights of the people? What is the man in relation to himself now? You find that now how man he can interact with other people. That's also another subject matter. And the man in relation to the rest of the creation. You find that also the other creation. Who are other creation? Like now we have the other humankinds, and also we have the animals, have the plants, and all the things, all other non-living things also. So all of this, you can see that all of this, they are essentially put the fact that the subject matter is man. The man in relation to the Allah, to the Lord and Creator, the man in relation to himself, what he needs to do, and the man in relation to the rest of the creation. So find that this aim and the object of the revelation here, we find that of this Quran, it is to invite man in the right way of dealing with his Lord, with himself, and with creation. That is now the aim and the objective of the revelation. It is now to invite man to the right way of dealing with his Lord, the right way of dealing with himself, and the right way of dealing with the creation, with the other creation. Okay, that is now why the revelation is there. I think so we understood. So if you're writing the notes, alhamdulillah, please write that is a very important thing, that the aim and the object of the revelation is to invite man to the right way of dealing with his Lord, the right way of dealing with himself, and the right way of dealing with the creation. Hence the main theme that runs throughout now this Quran, it is that Allah alone, he deserves worship, and thus man, he should submit to God's laws, to Allah's laws in his personal life and in his relationship with creation in general. Or in other words, the main theme, it is a call to the belief in Allah and the doing of righteous deeds as defined by Allah. That is now what it is, the main theme of the Quran. It's only that the fact that you find that Allah he deserves worship. Allah he deserves worship. And also Allah he should submit to Allah's laws in his personal life, and also in his relationship with the creation in general. And also we have to know that a righteous deed, it can only be defined with the way Allah he has defined it in the Quran. Okay, That's also very much important. So you have to know that if now the reader, he keeps these basic facts in mind, and he will find that from beginning to end the Quran topics are all closely connected to its main theme, and that the whole book, it is a well-reasoned and cohesive argument for its theme. So if you as a reader, alhamdulillah, if you're not a Muslim, maybe you're a Muslim, now you have known the main theme of the Quran. You have known the main theme of the Quran, and we have mentioned the three main themes of the Quran. We have mentioned the three main themes of the Quran, and this is very much important. So when you know this theme of the Quran, when you come from the beginning of the Quran to the end of the Quran, you'll find that all these topics, they are all closely related to its main theme, and that the whole book, it is a well-reasoned and cohesive argument for its theme. And the Quran, it keeps the same object in view, whether it is describing the creation of a man and the universe or events from human history. Okay, that the same objective it is in there, whether Allah is describing the creation of the man or the universe or the events from the human history. And also you find that the aim of the Quran, it is to guide the man. You find that it states or discusses things only to the extent relevant to this aim, and it leaves out unnecessary and irrelevant details. And you have to know that the Quran is not like the way people, they call it a novel. A novel, you find that what happens in a novel is that it will give you a story from the start to the end. But you find the Quran not give you like that. It will give you the parts of it which are beneficial to you, where you can gain lessons from it. When you have gained the lesson from it, alhamdulillah, what Allah wants to give you, to guide the man now, when you gain the lessons, now alhamdulillah, you're good to go. So the irrelevant things, they're not in the Quran. Okay, and we have to know that there are only beneficial things, and only the things which are relevant to the aim, which is to guide man. And you find that it leaves out unnecessary and irrelevant details. Sometimes people, they want details about a story, but the Quran is not like that. To not give you the details of the topics. And also it repeats its main theme over and over again in the presentation of each new topic. If you find that a new topic, Allah mentioned the fact that this is to guide mankind, and that is now the main theme, to guide man. And you find that the main theme is mentioned is to have the belief in Allah. Mentioned every time that you should have belief in Allah, and also you should do righteous deeds which are defined by Allah. So you find that in that, if you know that theme, this is there are some of the best Orientalist translation of the Quran. The translator was Arthur John Arbery. He writes that there is a repertory of familiar themes running through the whole Quran, and each surah elaborates or adumbrates one or more, often many of these. Using the language of music, each surah is a rhapsody composed of whole or fragmentary lead motifs, and the analogy is reinforced by the subtly varied rhythmical flow of the discourse. So that's what Arthur John Arbery writes, and you can see that one in his book. Okay, and the book is the Quranic Interpreted in page 28. So he's saying that first thing, he's saying that there is a repertory of familiar themes running through the whole Quran, and in each surah. That means in a Quranic chapter, every chapter, it has the familiar themes running through, repeating itself. That is what he's saying. Another thing is saying that it elaborates or adumbrates. What I mean of adumbrates means that it indicates faintly or in outline. You find that maybe it is indicating the fact that there's a main theme here, in faintly or in outline. One or more, often many of these, using the language of music. Each surah is a rhapsody composed of whole or fragmentary leitmotifs. It is recurring features. So saying that every time the surah is coming, it has the same features over and over again. And the analogy is reinforced by the subtly varied rhythmical flow of the discourse. Okay, so you can go in that Quran interpreted, page number 28. Alhamdulillah, you can see that. So alhamdulillah, you can see that we are going very much today, alhamdulillah, in a good way. So you have to know that they are following 4 principles that should be kept in mind by any new reader, any new person who wants to read the Quran. If he or she is to avoid unnecessary confusion and disorientation, the 4 principles are: number 1 is that, so please write this principle for the people who are writing, that the book, it is the only one of its type in the world. The book is the only one of its type in the world. That means the book is the Quran. It is unique from all other books in the world. Number 2, its literary style, it is quite different from all other books. Its literary style, it's quite different from all other books. That is also a very much important principle, to know that the literary style of the Quran, it is different from all other books. Also number 3, that its theme is unique. And number 4 is that preconceived notions of the book, they are only a hindrance to the understanding of the Quran. Preconceived notions of a book, they are only a hindrance to the understanding of the Quran. These 4 statements, you find that they are quoted from Abu al-Ma'ududi in The Meaning of the Quran, volume 1, page number 7. That is the 4 principle here. And alhamdulillah, we need to know that this, when we keep these 4 principles in our mind, we know that the fact that this Quran, it is different, the literary style is different from other books, the fact that this theme is unique, and the way this Quran, the preconceived notions of the book, they are only a hindrance to the understanding of the Quran. So don't make the fact that, if you have read other books, it is not the same way, the way you read the Quran. Okay. So alhamdulillah, now inshallah we are going to have our this is our alhamdulillah last topic. Alhamdulillah, now the main of the Quran we have finished it, alhamdulillah. Now we go to our last slide, which says Jazakallah Kheir, and may Allah Jal accept it from all of us. Ameen Ya Rabbal Alamin. So alhamdulillah, now inshallah I will finish this alhamdulillah now, and we have few minutes. In this few minutes, alhamdulillah, you can take maybe a drink, or you can take maybe some of any food stuff you want to take, alhamdulillah, because we have a long day, alhamdulillah, today, inshallah. So we will stop it here, alhamdulillah. So I'll finish by saying, so before we finish, inshallah, our next topic, it is called the miracle of the Quran. This is part 9. Okay, the miracle of the Quran is part 9, and inshallah here we have many things to discuss. So please let be attentive, inshallah, in our next topic, inshallah, coming after very few minutes, inshallah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
تعانق دمعة الفكر تناجي الله في صبر وترجو رحمة تسري فعاش القلب إخلاصا وصرت تحوم كالطير تحلق في ثقافات وتنهل من ربى الخير ترى ما زلت تذكرها وتذكر روعة الذكر فيهدي القلب ألحانا شذاها يفوح بالصدر ويصفو العلم راقراقا ويسقي